Some lessons learned from powering the whole house during Hurricane Ian, after Hurricane Ian, when I lost power for just a couple days. When I bought the home, it already had this transfer switch where I could hook up a generator cord, 30 amp, going out to the outside of the house where the generator is. It comes in here into the main panel. And I don't like these transfer switches, although they are safer than nothing at all. There's lots of problems with this, especially this older one here. This older transfer switch has some lacking of safety features. For example, with this setup, you can actually have the utility side on and run the generator, sending feedback into the power lines at the same time. So this is an extremely bad design. I tried calling the company for support. They don't offer any support. They're called Connecticut Electric. Very bad company. So don't ever do business with them. The more recent models that they sell have protection where it will transfer power only if the main is off, I think. But another thing why transfer switches are not as nice is that they're expensive and very difficult to install, and they cause a lot of clutter in your panel in the gutter. So this is the gutter right here. And so many of those red and black wires go into the transfer switch, and it just creates more inefficiency and more chances of making an error. So let me go out to the main panel now that we're just looking at the computer screen. We're going to go live to the panel here in just a second, but I just wanted to show you what the very badly engineered transfer switch looks like, which, by the way, if you do send power back into the grid and you electrocute a lineman, that is a felony offense. So it's this device can actually cause you to commit a felony, well, as well as kill somebody. So what's the solution? The solution is going to be this interlock kit. They are overpriced. This one's seems like high quality aluminum. It's nearly $30 just for this. But this small plate will mount on the metal frame of the panel cover right there. And so it'll mount right there. And in order to activate the generator breaker, I have to switch the main off, because this would have to slide down, and so you cannot have them both on at the same time with this interlock kit. Now it's a pro and a con that you have to put in a breaker. I think most people choose 50 amp, but I'm okay with 30 amp because I just mainly need to power these things in blue, which is going to be the well at 240 volts. And these, I got the labels off because I'm going to relabel them, but basically household lights and a dual inverter window air conditioner, because this is going to require a 50 amp, and the household air conditioner will require actually more than a 50 amp. You just simply couldn't run it. So this is the air handler, and this is the compressor, I guess, right there. So both together require 105 amps. So that's not happening with the generator, unless it's a huge diesel generator, I guess. Tell me in a comment if you know what can power those two at the same time, as well as some of these other things. So there's not really generally a whole house transfer switch or generator system because of the central air conditioner would be too much for even a 50 amp generator to power. So it's partial. They're all pretty much partial, unless, like I said, you have a super massive diesel generator, I suppose. So you can see I've removed the transfer switch that was there, and this was running into the transfer switch, the 30 amp hour generator cord, and now it's going into the main panel. I don't know if this is in code or not, but it's safe. It's just concrete around there. That's not going to cause abrasion to the hard rubber on the outside. Don't do this kind of work unless you're highly skilled with alternating current electricity. It can be deadly because the 240 volts coming from the power company are exposed in here, and just touching it can kill you if you're depending on your grounding situation and all that different things. So I labeled everything with a blue piece of tape. What I do want to have on when I'm running the generator, which I ordered from Sam's Club, I think it's about a 5,500 continuous watt, and that will power my water heater only. This is 5,500 watts. So during a power outage, if I shut everything off except the water heater, I can get that heated up and then shut that breaker off and then turn everything back on. And I can do that with several things, such as the washer and dryer and the range, which I won't need to use because I can use a microwave or a small induction stove or the camper vans. So the main reason I'm having to do all these upgrades is because the transfer switch I had couldn't power this well without 240 volts, the well pump actually. And so I ended up just ripping the whole thing out because it required so many modifications in order to run the well that I just wanted to rip it out. I kept some of the scrap wiring from the transfer switch. All this wire in here is really good stuff because it has those kinds of connectors on there that are hard to put on yourself without them slipping off. So since these are professionally installed, this is really good wire. I think it's probably about 10 gauge. I don't think it's 8, I think maybe 10. One thing, if you're out of space on your panel and you need space to put your 30 or 50 amp breaker for the generator, which by the way, this is going to put power into the panel rather than taking it away from the power company. It's going to put power in. So this is very unique right here. I should have made this video after I labeled everything professionally, so it's only partly professionally labeled. I like to label right on the breaker. The idiotic design in my opinion is to put it on the side and then you have to cross-reference. That's going to cause errors, human errors. So if you just put it right on there with white background and black text using a label printer. And what I was getting at is if you're out of space, you can get these kind of breakers that allow two appliances, or two lines rather, on one breaker rather than one on one breaker. And the yellow orange colored power cable is 20 amps and the white is 15 amps. So be careful with that. You don't want to have a 15 amp wire going to a 20 amp breaker, because that could actually burn your whole house down in a worst case scenario. You can see here I have one extra space open, so I'm going to put, see, these are all the extra breakers I have. I'm going to put a 20 in there because if I ever add anything, it's going to be the 20 amp wire, not the 15. I don't like the 15 amp wire at all. It causes these to trip too easy. So these are obsolete. I may just donate them or something. This one I just bought from the hardware store. It's going to be returned, and I will keep these 320s because I will never install a 50 amp amp wire in here for any reason. It's all going to be 20. On the outside, right behind the panel, I have the generator input, which that was the maximum 3600 watts. I may have to get rid of this and upgrade it to something that can handle more watts than that. I gotta check into that, because my generator is 5500 watts that I have coming on order. This one, as well as most modern ones, has an LED light on there. If I do upgrade, I'm probably just going to put a 50 amp one in here with the same type of plug. I think it would be the same type of plug. Upgrade it to 50 amp, because you can plug in a 30 amp cord into a 50 amp inlet, and then this box I will put in my scrap pile, which is getting kind of big. This one over here is for the RV input, because I have two RVs, two camper vans right now, a Dodge and Mercedes, and then I have guests who plug in. Right now I have a guest from Georgia who is parking here at night with his Class B motorhome, and he's using this as a home base, and during the day he goes and helps people who are in trouble from the hurricane, particularly in an RV park in Port Charlotte. So what else is cool and interesting to know? When I was redoing this whole panel work, I was curious about what these two are. These are arc breakers, and they prevent arcs from happening within wiring in the house, generally reserved for bedrooms. So this is master bedroom and two more bedrooms right here. So what it does is it detects any irregularity through the neutral wire and trips it if there's anything weird going on. And it can be tested with a button right there that sends us a bad signal through the neutral, I guess, to let me know, to let the breaker know to shut it off before it causes a fire. What I learned is these dual breakers are limited on how many you can put in, and for a good reason. They generally keep them, they're only mountable in a certain location on your panel, in this case on top. So this is the maximum amount of those I can have, because all these others won't fit those kind of breakers. And the reason is so that you don't overload your panel with too many amps, which I already have. If everything was running at the same time, that would be way over 200 amps that this one's rated. Seems like a few times I have come close to running everything at the same time and nothing ever tripped or anything. The generator cable is pretty thick. The smaller generators will have 3 prongs, and the bigger ones have 4 female input for these male prongs. I could bypass the box outside, plug directly into here with this cable, and run the cord around the door if that box becomes a problem of being under wattage. But I don't like to have the door open all the time like that, because humidity comes in, bugs, snakes, people, and the dog could get out. Speaking of generators, what the hell is the matter with people? Currently, this is the only gas can you can buy just about everywhere. Costco, BJ's, Home Depot, Lowe's, they all sell this stupid piece of shit that's actually dangerous in several ways. It has no vent. If this sits in the sun, it will actually expand and possibly blow up. I've had that happen where it actually, I set it in the sun and it started bubbling out the sides, about ready to explode. Another big problem is if you fill it up at the gas station, it has upside down funnel in there that's dense plastic, and it causes, when you're filling it up, backsplash from the gas will come out because it can't get in the can without hitting that hard, without hitting the dense mesh plastic funnel they have in there. I understand to prevent debris from getting in there, but don't use dense plastic with really big wire shaped plastic on there because it's going to cause backsplashing, but rather a metal mesh would be better. But because all this shit's made in China with the cheapest possible price, they're using plastic instead of metal. And if metal, it should be stainless steel, but they know that costs another $1 and they're not going to do it. That cuts into their greedy ass corporate profits. When you're running a when you're maintaining a generator, be sure to try to find ethanol-free gas if you're not going to use it within a few months, to keep from gunking up your carburetor. And you can get that by using an app called Pure Gas, I think. All right, that should just about conclude this whole thing. Be sure you have experience dealing with AC power before you go into your home panel and do anything like that. You want to practice with smaller items that are AC powered, preferably less than 110 volts. Something, I don't know what that would be. Or get educated about it at the minimum. Better yet, hire a licensed electrician that is licensed. You should have evidence that that person's licensed, not just take their word. Please leave questions and comments, and Tidy Puppy will get back to you.